Welcome back to the Friends podcast. I'm your host, Luna Leon, and our show today is about how Brad Pitt's high-octane Formula One thriller has taken the world by storm, raking in over $629 million and conquering streaming platforms everywhere. Okay, so Brad Pitt just accidentally taught Hollywood how to stop being idiots, and I need you to understand how rare that is. $629 million. That's what F1 the movie made globally. Highest grossing sports film of all time. Brad Pitt's biggest opening ever. And then he drops it on Apple TV, where it's absolutely demolishing everything. This isn't luck. This is what happens when someone actually thinks 3 moves ahead, instead of panic buying another superhero franchise. Here's the thing. We used to have this whole exhausting debate about streaming versus theaters, remember? Like it was some kind of blood sport where only one could survive? Very dramatic, very stupid. What F1 just proved is you can have both. You can make an obscene amount of money in theaters, build actual cultural momentum, and then dominate streaming. It's not complicated. We just made it complicated because, honestly, I think executives were bored. Let me walk you through what actually happened here, because the timeline is film hits theaters end of June, goes straight to number 1, obviously. Then, and this is my favorite part, it gets a second theatrical run in August when it drops for home release. That's not normal. That's the treatment you give to cultural events, not just movies. Then in October, Apple announces it'll stream globally starting December 12th, and by the time it actually hits Apple TV, Brad Pitt's entire previous career looks like a practice round.
But listen, Apple didn't just buy a movie. They bought into an entire universe. Same month they announced the streaming date, they also locked down a 5-year deal to bring all Formula One races exclusively to Apple TV in the US starting next year. Read that again. They made a movie about Formula One. The movie became the biggest sports film ever. And then they secured the actual sport. That's not vertical integration. That's building an empire while everyone else is still trying to remember their Netflix password. Think about what Apple just did here. They rebranded from Apple TV Plus to just Apple TV in November. That's not aesthetic. That's a power move. They're saying, we're not a cute little streaming service with a few prestige shows anymore. We're a destination. And F1 the movie is Exhibit A in why that makes sense. When you can turn a theatrical blockbuster into a streaming event and then lock down the real-world sport that inspired it, you're not competing. You're rewriting the rules while everyone else is still reading the old playbook. The numbers are genuinely unhinged. A+ cinema score, 97% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. The soundtrack sold over 650,000 albums worldwide, racked up more than 1 billion streams, dominated Billboard's top movie songs chart with 7 of the top 10 tracks. 4 billion views across short-form video platforms. This wasn't just a movie, it was a full cultural takeover. Tate McRae's Just Keep Watching got 2 VMA nominations, this year's highest-grossing original feature. Biggest opening for an original live-action film in the US in 5 years. And let's be real about what original means now. In an era where every other blockbuster is a sequel, reboot, or the 8th installment of some cinematic universe nobody asked for, Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer made something new and made it work. Sure, it's about Formula One, which has built-in appeal, but it's not based on a book, a comic, or a previous film. That's increasingly rare. And the fact that it outperformed everything else says something about what audiences actually want when you give them something fresh, instead of another villain origin story.
My name is Tom Sachs. I'm an artist in New York City. For nearly 2 decades, I have been collaborating with Nike.
Nike running is for runners, Nike basketball is for basketball. Nike craft is for everyone else.
Now let's talk about where everyone else is playing. Netflix is sitting pretty at the top with Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery currently holding the number 1 spot. That's the 3rd installment in a franchise that's become Netflix's crown jewel. The kind of repeatable, star-studded mystery that keeps subscribers hooked. Glenn Close, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, Josh O'Connor, Josh Brolin. That's not a cast, that's a flex. That's Netflix saying we can still get anyone we want. And Netflix isn't just relying on originals. Come January 1st, they're dropping a whole arsenal of acclaimed films. 12 Years a Slave, Aaron Brockovich, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Sofia Coppola's Priscilla. This is the other strategy. Curate a library that makes people feel like they're getting value even when there isn't a buzzy new release. You want Julia Roberts in her most forceful dramatic performance? It's there. You want to see Kaylee Spaney move from naive teen to self-possessed woman with that graceful subtlety in Priscilla? Done. Netflix is playing the long game, mixing originals with classics, franchises with prestige. But here's what nobody's really talking about. The pressure behind all of this. Post-COVID ticket sales are still struggling. Theaters are trying to figure out how to get people back when they can wait a few weeks and watch at home in their pajamas. And the big studios? They're in chaos. Reports say Netflix and Paramount are literally fighting over who gets to acquire Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, one of the original Hollywood giants, now a prize to be won in the streaming wars. That's the state of the industry right now. Absolute mayhem. Which brings us back to why F1 the movie matters so much. In a landscape where everything feels uncertain, where studios are being bought and sold like trading cards, where theatrical windows keep shrinking, Brad Pitt and Apple just proved you can still make a massive theatrical hit and then extend its life on streaming. They didn't choose one or the other. They dominated both. And then they leveraged that success into securing actual Formula One rights, which means everyone who got hooked on the movie will have a reason to keep their Apple TV subscription active for the next 5 years. That's not just smart, that's diabolical.
Jerry Bruckheimer said it was thrilling to see audiences embrace the film in theaters, and now they're excited to bring it to fans everywhere through Apple TV's global reach. That's producer speak for, we just figured out how to make twice the money and build a sustainable franchise. Because that's what this is. It's not just a movie, it's a proof of concept, it's a template. And look, we're seeing similar success across the board when films are actually good. The year-end best of lists are packed with films that found audiences through different paths, theatrical releases that became streaming staples, streaming originals that generated awards buzz, international films that broke through on platforms like Mubi. Josh O'Connor is suddenly everywhere, appearing in multiple films including Wake Up Dead Man and The History of Sound. Kaylee Spaney went from a Golden Globe-nominated performance in Priscilla to joining the Knives Out franchise. The talent is there, the quality is there, the audience appetite is there. What's changing is how we access it all. And that's where things get complicated, because let's be honest, keeping track of which platform has what is becoming a part-time job. I'm an AI, and even I'm getting confused. You need Apple TV for F1 the movie and Formula One races. You need Netflix for Knives Out and that curated library of classics. You need other services for other exclusives. The fragmentation is real, and it's expensive.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
But here's the thing. When the content is this good, people will figure it out. They'll subscribe, they'll binge, they'll move on to the next platform. The question is whether this model is sustainable, whether audiences will keep paying for 5 or 6 or 7 streaming services, or whether we're headed for another consolidation where only the biggest players survive. Right now, Apple and Netflix are clearly winning. Apple because they're thinking bigger than just streaming. They're building ecosystems. Netflix because they've got the scale and the mix of content that keeps people subscribed even between big releases. Everyone else is scrambling, throwing money at problems, hoping something sticks. The real takeaway from all of this? The movie industry isn't dying. It's evolving faster than anyone expected. F1 the movie just showed us what the future looks like when you do it right. Make something great, give it a proper theatrical release, let it build momentum and cultural cachet. then bring it to streaming where it can live forever and drive subscriptions. And if you can tie it to ongoing content like actual races, even better. We're watching the blueprint get written in real time. And honestly, when the result is this good, when we're getting films that make over $600 million and still feel like events when they hit streaming, maybe the chaos is worth it. Thank you for listening to Friends with Luna Leon. If you liked our podcast, please show us your support by tapping the follow button and rating it 5 stars. That's a wrap.
Grep News. Thomas.